The quiet before the storm. The message came through every radio telescope on Earth at exactly midnight GMT. Dr. Alex Turner was monitoring deep space signals from the Australian Observatory when the transmission cut through the cosmic background noise like a knife. This is the Dominion fleet. Planet Sol 3, you are marked for harvest. Your species will serve or be eliminated. Compliance is not optional. You have 10 solar cycles to prepare. Alex stared at his equipment, hoping it was a malfunction. But the same message was being reported from observatories in Chile, Hawaii, and South Africa. Within an hour, every major government on Earth had the translation. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their new neighbors wanted them as slaves. President Davis called an emergency session with world leaders. The video conference included every major nation's head of state, all trying to process the impossible reality they now faced. Our satellites have confirmed it, General Brooks reported to the assembled leaders. There are ships approaching from the outer solar system. Big ones. Current trajectory puts them at Earth in 9 days. The French president spoke first. What are our military options? Brooks pulled up tactical displays. Honestly, none that matter. These ships are massive, some are larger than our biggest cities. If they have technology advanced enough for interstellar travel, our weapons are probably useless. So we surrender? Asked the German Chancellor. President Davis leaned forward. Not yet. General, tell them about Protocol Zero. The room fell silent. Protocol Zero was a classified program that most world leaders had never heard of. Only a handful of people knew it existed. Protocol Zero is our last resort option, Brooks explained carefully. It was developed after World War III, when we realized that conventional warfare might not be enough for future threats. What kind of option? The British Prime Minister asked. Brooks hesitated. The kind that changes everything. The kind we hoped we'd never have to use. Behind the scenes, other conversations were taking place. Deep in underground facilities that didn't appear on any official maps, systems that had been dormant for decades, were coming online. Dr. Lisa Park worked in one such facility. Officially, she was a researcher for the Department of Energy. Unofficially, she was part of a program that pushed the boundaries of what humans could become. The activation codes came through an hour ago, her assistant Mark told her as she entered the lab. All test subjects are responding to the wake-up signals. Lisa looked at the monitoring stations. For 20 years, volunteers had been part of an experimental program. They lived normal lives, had families and careers, but carried something extra in their genetic code, something that made them more than human when activated. How many are responding? All of them, Mark replied, amazement in his voice. Every single volunteer across the globe. The genetic modifications we made are working perfectly. Lisa felt a chill. The volunteers had agreed to be part of humanity's ultimate insurance policy. They had no idea what they really were until the activation signals reached them. Across the world, ordinary people were beginning to change. A teacher in Ohio felt strength flowing through her body that she had never possessed. A mechanic in Germany found his reflexes becoming impossibly fast. A nurse in Japan discovered she could see in perfect darkness. These were the awakened, humans who had been genetically modified to become something more when humanity faced extinction. They had lived normal lives for decades, unaware of their true nature. Captain Mike Ross was leading a routine patrol in the North Pacific when his transformation began. One moment he was a normal Navy officer, the next he was something that had never existed before. His ship's crew watched in amazement as their captain began to understand systems and tactics that were beyond normal human comprehension. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving coded transmissions from military units worldwide. It's like a network is coming online." Ross nodded, somehow understanding what was happening without being told. "Patch me through to all military frequencies. Authorization code Omega 77. The authorization code had never been used before. It activated protocols buried so deep in military computers that most programmers didn't know they existed. Within hours, a shadow network of enhanced humans was establishing itself across the globe. They were soldiers, scientists, engineers, and leaders who had been preparing their entire lives for this moment without knowing it. The alien signal had awakened. More than just fear in humanity, it had triggered the activation of Earth's most carefully guarded secret, that humans had been preparing for this day for generations. General Brooks received a secure message in his Pentagon office. The message was brief, but changed everything. Awakened assets are online. Phase 1 complete, awaiting orders. Brooks looked at the alien ships approaching Earth on his tactical display. The enemy thought they were coming to harvest a primitive species. They were about to discover that humans had been expecting them. The network awakens. The first gathering took place in an abandoned warehouse in Detroit. Sarah Webb, a former kindergarten teacher, stood before 50 other awakened individuals. 3 days ago, she had been grading papers and planning lessons. Now she was coordinating a resistance network that spanned the globe. The genetic modifications are stabilizing, she reported to the group. Enhanced strength, speed, and intelligence are now permanent, but more importantly, we're all connected. The connection was something none of them had expected. The awakened could sense each other across vast distances, share information instantly, and coordinate actions without traditional communication methods. Tom Bradley, who had been a construction worker in Texas, raised his hand. How many of us are there worldwide? Current count is 12,700 active awakened, Sarah replied. More are activating every hour as the genetic triggers reach full expression. The number seemed small compared to Earth's population, but each awakened individual was worth dozens of normal humans in terms of capability. They could process information faster, move quicker, and think more clearly than any human in history. Meanwhile, the alien fleet continued its approach. The ships were now close enough for detailed scanning, and what Earth's satellites revealed was terrifying. Each vessel was a kilometer long, bristling with weapons that could level continents. Admiral Hayes coordinated Earth's conventional military response from the Pentagon. Despite knowing about the Awakened program, he still had to prepare humanity's regular forces for the coming battle. Our best missiles might scratch their paint, he told his staff, but we're going to hit them with everything we have anyway. Maybe we can buy the Awakened more time to work. The Awakened weren't just enhanced humans. They were connected to a vast network of hidden technology that had been built over decades. Underground facilities on every continent contained weapons, vehicles, and equipment designed specifically for this scenario. Dr. Park monitored the awakening process from her Nevada facility. The genetic modifications were working better than anyone had hoped. Enhanced humans were adapting to their new abilities with remarkable speed. The neural network connections are strengthening, she reported to her superiors. The awakened are becoming a true collective intelligence while maintaining individual personalities. This was the key to humanity's plan. The awakened weren't just super soldiers. They were a new form of human consciousness that could think and act as both individuals and as a unified force. In Moscow, former accountant Pavel Volkov was accessing weapons systems that officially didn't exist. His enhanced mind could interface directly with advanced computers, giving him control over defense networks across Russia. Orbital platforms are coming online, he reported through the neural network to his fellow awakened. Particle beam weapons will be ready for deployment when the fleet arrives. Similar reports came from around the world. The awakened were activating hidden defenses that had been built secretly over 20 years. Humanity had been preparing for alien invasion longer than most governments realized. But the aliens weren't unprepared either. Long-range scans of Earth had revealed unusual energy signatures. Fleet Commander Zal studied the tactical data from her flagship's bridge. The humans are more advanced than our initial surveys indicated, she told her officers. They've hidden significant military capabilities. Zal belonged to the Helix Dominion, a galactic empire that had conquered 43 worlds. Humans were supposed to be a primitive species, barely capable of spaceflight, but the energy readings from Earth suggested otherwise. Should we adjust our approach? Her tactical officer asked. No, Zal decided. Deploy advanced scouts. We need to understand what we're really facing before the main fleet arrives. The scout ships launched toward Earth, moving faster than anything humanity had ever tracked. But the Awakened were ready for them. Captain Ross, now fully integrated with his enhanced abilities, led a squadron of modified fighter jets to intercept the scouts. His pilots were all awakened, their reflexes and coordination far beyond normal. Human limits. Contact in 30 seconds, his wingman reported. I'm reading energy signatures we've never seen before. Steady, Ross replied through the neural network. Remember, we're not trying to win this fight, we're trying to learn what we're up against. The engagement lasted less than 2 minutes. The alien scouts were fast and well-armed, but they fought like individuals. The awakened pilots moved as a coordinated unit, sharing information and tactics in real time through their mental connection. 2 alien scouts were damaged and forced to retreat. More importantly, the awakened had learned crucial information about alien technology and tactics. Analysis complete, Sarah Webb reported to the global network. We can hurt them, but the main fleet will be much harder to handle. The first skirmish was over. Humanity had drawn first blood, but the real war was still 6 days away. First blood, the damaged alien scout limped back to the main fleet, its hull scarred by weapons that shouldn't have existed. Fleet Commander Zal examined the battle data with growing concern. The human fighters had moved with precision that suggested a hive mind, yet maintained individual creativity that made them unpredictable. Commander, her science officer reported, the humans used directed energy weapons and kinetic projectiles simultaneously. Their tactics adapted in real time to our countermeasures. Zal studied the tactical recordings. 43 worlds had fallen to Dominion forces using the same basic strategy: overwhelming technological superiority, followed by swift conquest. But Earth was proving different. Accelerate our approach, she ordered. I want the fleet in Earth orbit within 4 days instead of 6. On Earth, the awakened network was processing the scout engagement data at superhuman speed. Every detail of the alien technology was being analyzed and shared instantly among 12,000 enhanced minds. Dr. Park watched the data streams flowing through her facility's computers. The awakened are learning faster than we ever predicted, she told General Brooks over secure communication. They're not just sharing information. They're collectively solving problems that would take our best scientists months to figure out. In the Australian outback, former mechanic Danny Walsh was building weapons that had never existed before. His enhanced mind could visualize complex engineering solutions, and his modified hands could work with precision that made robots seem clumsy. Plasma rifles are ready for field testing, he reported through the network. Based on Alien Scout analysis, these should penetrate their armor. Similar reports came from awakened individuals worldwide. Teachers were designing battle strategies. Accountants were coordinating global logistics, and artists were creating camouflage systems that could fool alien sensors. But the awakened weren't just preparing weapons. They were preparing themselves. The genetic modifications continued to evolve, making them stronger and faster with each passing hour. Sarah Webb stood in what had once been downtown Chicago, but was now a fortified command center. Buildings had been modified overnight by awakened engineers who could work without sleep and visualize structural changes instantly. Urban defense positions are complete, she reported to the global network. Every major city is now a fortress, but one that looks normal from orbit. The strategy was deception on a massive scale. The aliens would see Earth cities as they always had, but hidden beneath the familiar surfaces were weapons, shields, and trap systems that would turn every street into a battlefield. President Davis addressed the world for what might be the last time. He stood in the White House briefing room, but didn't mention the awakened program. Most of humanity still didn't know their species had been preparing for this moment for decades. My fellow humans, he began. We face an enemy that believes we are weak. They think we are a primitive species that will surrender without a fight. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The speech was broadcast globally, but it also contained coded messages that only the awakened could detect. hidden in the sky. President's words were final activation codes for systems that had never been tested. Captain Ross received those codes while flying patrol over the Pacific. His enhanced mind processed the hidden information instantly, and he felt new systems coming online throughout his modified body. Phase 2. Activation confirmed, he broadcast to the network. All awakened assets are now at full capability. The transformation was immediate and dramatic. Awakened individuals who had been enhanced humans suddenly became something more. Their physical capabilities doubled, their mental processing speed increased exponentially, and their connection to each other deepened into something approaching telepathy. But the most important change was their relationship with Earth's technology. Every computer, satellite, and electronic system on the planet began responding to awakened mental commands. Humanity's entire technological infrastructure became an extension of the collective enhanced consciousness. The alien fleet, now only 3 days away, detected the massive spike in Earth's energy output. Fleet Commander Zal studied the readings. With alarm, the entire planet just activated, her tactical officer reported. Energy signatures are off the scale. It's like the whole world just became a weapon. Zal made a decision that would prove costly. Deploy the terror protocol. Launch precision strikes at their major cities. Break their will before we arrive. Energy beams lanced down from the fleet, targeting what appeared to be defenseless human cities. But when the beams struck, they hit shields that absorbed the energy and redirected it into Earth's defense networks. Not a single human died in the attack. Instead, Earth's weapons charged to full power using alien energy. Sarah Webb smiled as she felt the network surge with new strength. "Thank you for the free power," she whispered, knowing that somewhere in space the aliens were about to realize they had made a terrible mistake. The war for Earth was about to begin in earnest. The Trap Springs Fleet Commander Zal stared at her tactical display in disbelief. Her terror bombardment had done no damage to Earth's cities. Instead, the energy readings from the planet had increased dramatically, as if the humans had somehow absorbed her weapons fire and converted it into power. "How is this possible?" she demanded of her science officer. "Unknown, Commander. The humans appear to have energy conversion technology we've never encountered. Our attack may have actually strengthened their defenses." For the first time in her military career, Zal felt genuine concern. The Dominion had conquered dozens of worlds, but none had ever turned their own weapons against them. On Earth, the awakened network was celebrating. Not only had they survived the first real alien attack, they had used it to power up systems that had been waiting decades for activation. Sarah Webb coordinated the global response from her Chicago command center. Through the neural network, she could sense 12,000 enhanced minds working as one, while maintaining individual creativity. "Energy reserves are at maximum," reported Danny Walsh from Australia. "All hidden defense platforms are online and ready." The hidden defenses were humanity's greatest secret. Over 20 years, the Awakened program had built weapon systems disguised as ordinary buildings, bridges, and even natural landmarks. Every major city had defensive capabilities that could engage spacecraft in orbit. But the Awakened weren't done surprising their enemies. Dr. Park's genetic modifications had included one final capability that was only now revealing itself. The enhanced humans were developing psychic abilities that allowed them to sense alien thoughts and emotions across vast distances. "I can feel their confusion," Captain Ross reported from his fighter patrol. "The alien commander is afraid. She's never encountered anything like us before." The psychic connection worked both ways. While humans could sense alien emotions, some of the more advanced Awakened were learning to project thoughts and images into alien minds. Tom Bradley, the former construction worker, discovered he could create illusions that alien sensors registered as real. From his position in Texas, he projected false images of massive human fleets into the minds of alien scouts. "The enemy is seeing things that aren't there," he reported through the network. "Their tactical data is becoming completely unreliable." The psychological warfare was devastating. Alien crews began reporting human battle fleets that didn't exist, ground forces in impossible numbers, and weapons that defied their understanding of physics. Fleet Commander Zal was losing control of her forces. Reports from her ships contradicted each other completely. Some sensors showed Earth defended by primitive weapons, while others detected technology beyond Dominion capabilities. "Deploy ground forces immediately," she ordered in desperation. "I want boots on the ground before this gets worse." The invasion began with dropships launching toward every major population center on Earth. Alien soldiers in powered armor descended from orbit, expecting to face frightened civilians and primitive military forces. Instead, they landed in carefully prepared kill zones. Sarah Webb watched through surveillance systems as the first alien troops touched down in Chicago. They emerged from their dropships into what appeared to be an empty city street. Then the trap activated. Buildings that looked normal from the outside revealed hidden weapon ports. Street surfaces opened to release defensive drones. Underground, tunnels allowed awakened soldiers to appear behind enemy lines with no warning. But the most devastating surprise was the awakened themselves. Enhanced humans moved faster than alien reflexes could track, struck harder than alien armor could withstand, and coordinated attacks that were impossible to counter. Danny Walsh led his squad in Sydney, moving through the urban battlefield like a force of nature. His enhanced strength allowed him to tear through alien armor with his bare hands, while his accelerated reflexes made enemy weapons seem to fire in slow motion. "Alien forces are in full retreat," he reported. "They can't adapt to our combat capabilities." Similar reports came from every battlefield. Awakened forces were winning engagements that should have been impossible. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something more valuable: the ability to adapt and evolve in real time. Captain Ross engaged alien fighters in orbit, his enhanced consciousness allowing him to pilot his craft with superhuman precision. But he wasn't fighting alone. Every awakened pilot was connected, sharing targeting data and tactical information instantly. "We're not just winning individual battles," Ross reported. "We're learning from every engagement and becoming more effective." The alien invasion was collapsing faster than anyone had thought possible. In 6 hours of combat, human forces had destroyed or captured 60% of the Dominion ground forces and damaged multiple orbital vessels. Fleet Commander Zal faced a decision no Dominion commander had ever confronted: retreat or total defeat. "Prepare the planet killer weapon," she ordered grimly. "If we can't conquer Earth, we'll destroy it." The awakened network sensed her decision instantly. Sarah Webb felt the alien commander's desperate rage through their psychic connection. "They're going to try to destroy the planet," she broadcast to all awakened forces. "Time for Phase 3. Humanity was done defending. Now they would attack. Humanity unleashed. The planet killer weapon charged slowly, gathering energy from the eye. Dominion flagship's core. Fleet Commander Zal watched the process with grim satisfaction. If Earth couldn't be conquered, it would be eliminated along with the dangerous species that inhabited it. But the awakened had sensed her intention long before the weapon reached full charge. Through their psychic connection to the alien minds, they knew exactly what was coming and when. Sarah Webb stood in her Chicago command center, but her consciousness was connected to every enhanced human on Earth. Through the network, she could feel the determination of 12,000 superhuman minds focused on a single goal: saving their world and making the galaxy safe for humanity. Phase 3. Authorization confirmed, she announced through the neural link. All awakened assets. Prepare for orbital assault. Phase 3 was humanity's ultimate gamble. Hidden in cities around the world were launch systems that had been disguised as ordinary buildings. Each system contained a single-person spacecraft designed specifically for the awakened. The ships were small, fast, and nearly indestructible. More importantly, they were designed to interface directly with awakened consciousness, making pilot and craft into a single entity. Captain Ross was the first to launch. His fighter burst from what had appeared to be a Chicago office building. accelerating toward orbit at speeds that would have been fatal to normal humans. But Ross was no longer entirely human, and his enhanced body could withstand forces that would crush ordinary pilots. "Orbital insertion complete," he reported as his craft broke through Earth's atmosphere. "Enemy fleet in visual range." What Ross saw defied belief. The Dominion fleet was massive, hundreds of ships arranged for the systematic destruction of Earth. The flagship alone was larger than Manhattan, its weapons charged and ready to end human civilization. But Ross wasn't alone. From cities across Earth, more awakened pilots were launching in their modified craft. Within minutes, over 1,000 superhuman pilots were approaching the alien fleet. The aliens detected the incoming human ships, but dismissed them as insignificant. The craft were tiny compared to Dominion vessels, barely larger than escape pods. How could such small ships threaten a fleet that had conquered 43 worlds? They were about to find out. Danny Walsh's ship reached the first Dominion destroyer. Instead of firing weapons at the massive vessel, he did something no alien pilot would have considered. He flew directly into the ship's hull. His craft was designed for penetration attacks. It punched through alien armor like it was paper, carrying Danny into the ship's interior, where he could do maximum damage. Inside the alien vessel, Danny moved through corridors at superhuman speed. His enhanced reflexes made the alien crew seem to move in slow motion, while his modified strength allowed him to tear through bulkheads and vital systems with his bare hands. "Interior of target vessel secured," he reported through the network. "Alien crew eliminated. Ship is ours." The same tactic was being used across the Dominion fleet. Awakened pilots were capturing alien ships from the inside, turning the enemy's own vessels against them. Fleet Commander Zal watched in horror as her fleet began firing on itself. Ship after ship was being captured by the tiny human craft, their crews eliminated or forced to surrender. "Impossible," she whispered. "No species fights like this." But the awakened were just getting started. The captured ships were being piloted by human consciousness linked through the neural network. Each vessel became part of a coordinated attack force that moved with perfect precision. Tom Bradley had captured a Dominion cruiser and was using its weapons to support other awakened pilots. Through the network, he could coordinate with hundreds of other captured ships to execute complex battle maneuvers that no individual pilot could manage alone. "Fleet composition changing," he reported. 60% of alien vessels now under human control. The planet killer weapon was nearly charged, but Zal no longer controlled enough ships to protect the flagship. Awakened forces were converging. On her position from all directions, Sarah Webb had launched in her own craft, leading the final assault on the flagship. Her enhanced consciousness could feel the alien commander's desperation and fear. "Commander Zal," Sarah broadcast directly into the alien's mind through their psychic connection. "Surrender now, and your remaining crew will be spared." The response was immediate. "What are you?" Sarah smiled as her ship approached the massive flagship. "We are what happens when humans stop pretending to be civilized. We are evolution in action. We are humanity unleashed." The battle for Earth was over, but the war for galactic freedom was just beginning. Within hours, captured Dominion ships were departing Earth under awakened control. They carried a simple message to every world in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer a hidden species on a distant planet. They were coming to liberate the galaxy, one world at a time. The Dominion had awakened Earth's deadliest force, and now they would face the consequences across 43 conquered worlds.